It's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to the 1876 after party. Not much of an after party at all tonight. What did we just witness? The Panthers go into Houston to take on the Houston Christian Huskies, and they were definitely waiting on the Panthers today. Final score 30-0. Huskies defeating the Panthers, and the Panthers absolutely from out the gate had no answers for the Houston Christian Huskies. The Panthers were totally dominated in this game. Don't know if they were looking past or taken for assumption that they would just lay it down. But the Panthers definitely got their hats handed to them. We're going to hear now recap from Andre Davis. Our team was there for the game coverage, and we'll hear from him, and we'll come back with the rest of the story.
Andre Davis here with you, as we have just concluded another Panther football broadcast where the Panthers fell short methodically at the hands of the Houston Christian Huskies here at Husky Stadium by the score of 30-0. It was a complete dominance by the Houston Christian Huskies from start to finish. Some self-inflicted wounds by the Panthers that the Houston Christian Huskies were able to capitalize on in great fashion. I am not going to waste any time, ladies and gentlemen. I am going ahead and just going to go jump right off into it. Penalties have been the Achilles heel of the Peruvian University Panthers for the 2023 campaign, and they were certainly an Achilles heel in this ball game. The Panthers had 10 penalties for a total of 100 yards in this ball game. The Panthers had a total of 110 yards offensively for this entire ball game. So the Panthers nearly had the same amount of penalty yards that they have offensive yards. And if it wasn't until the last drive by the Panthers, they actually had more penalty yards than they did offensive yards for the duration of this ball game. The Houston Christian Huskies were able to convert 30 first downs to just 6 first downs for the Panthers. The Houston Christian Huskies were able to take away the strongest asset for the Panthers offensively, and that is their ability to run the ball. The Panthers have been the top 3 team, they've been top 5 in the SWAC in terms of rushing. Coming into this ball game, they were ranked number 3 in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I mean, their ability to run has been their identity for this 2023 campaign. Now, the Panthers were without their star running back, Ahmad Antoine, who has been a huge boost for them offensively. They were without him for this ball game as he's been sustaining some injuries, and it appears that the Panthers were letting him rest out and get ready for FAMU that they're going to be facing 2 weeks from now. But nonetheless, you still had the sophomore running back, Connor Wysham, who's been playing tremendously so far for this 2023 campaign. You still had the transfer from Mississippi Valley and Caleb Johnson, and yet the Panthers were not able to establish the run game. Therefore, it forced Conley to throw ideally more than what he may have been bargained for. Conley went 12 for 19 for only 90 yards. He did throw an interception in the second half, and he was also sacked 4 times in this ball game. 3 of those sacks came in the first half as the offensive line was just of the Panthers was getting beat up by the defensive line of the Huskies, and vice versa. It appears that all the sacks that the Panthers had last week against Mississippi Valley, again, they had a total of 6 sacks last week, 7 sacks actually, last week against Mississippi Valley. I mean, the defensive line just displaying their dominance against the Delta Devils. Well, we didn't see any of that in this ball game, as the quarterback for the Huskies, Kobe Suits, was able to stand in the pocket comfortably for the majority of this ball game, as the Panthers did not get any pressure on him until late in the ball game, and at that point it was too late. The Panthers gave up 24 points in the first half, and they gave up 6 points in the second half. So you can tell that defensively, the Panthers were able to make some adjustments, as the Huskies found themselves inside the red zone several times in the second half. But the Panthers were in the bend but don't break situation defensively, and they was able to force only 6 points as opposed to 24, which is what they gave up in the first half. But the biggest thing to point to is the fact that the Huskies pitched a shutout for this ball game. 37-27 was our score last year, of course, in favor of the Panthers, even though they had some work to do in the second half in order to make it a 37-27 ball game. But they was able to put up a total of 37 points. And when they faced 2 years ago, check that, when they faced in 2021. But the offense was not able to put up any points in this ball game. Again, there's a lot of things that we can point to through all phases of the ball game, offensively, defensively, and even special teams. But the biggest thing that definitely jumps out on the paper above all is the penalties. Again, 10 penalties for a total of 100 yards that the Panthers committed. A lot of them were personal foul penalties. A lot of them were unnecessary roughness penalties. You had some false start penalties as well, and even penalties charged against the coaching staff. I mean, there were definitely some questionable calls here by the official crew members. But as I've always said, you cannot leave it up to the officials. The Panthers falling short against the Houston Christian Huskies by the score of 30-0. And as we've mentioned before, the Panthers will get a much-needed rest, as they'll have a bye week coming up. And then after that, the Panthers will gear up to go on the road to face Eastern Division opponents in Tallahassee, Florida, and that is the Florida A&M University Rattlers. October 28th is the official date for that ball game. Kickoff is scheduled for 3 p.m. Can the Panthers go back to the drawing board and get ready for a Willie Simmons-led FAMU Rattlers? Remains to be seen. Well, that will conclude our post-game show here from Husky Stadium. Panthers falling short on this one by the score of 30-0. I am Andre Davis. Thank you all so much for joining our post-game report. You all be blessed. And to the next broadcast, we will see you next time.
Thanks, Andre Davis, for that closeout report for the Panthers' demise against the Houston Christian Huskies on tonight. Now, as you heard, Panthers had 110 yards of total offense. Let's just stop right there. I was on the record for saying this week that I would have been disappointed if the Panthers did get 150 yards rushing alone. But they had a total of 110 total offensive yards. And to add insult to injury, 10 penalties at 100 yards. We know that has been a problem, but there have also been personal penalties that has been really holding back the Panthers' success. So there are a lot of questions to be answered. The Panthers do get to try to recover from this with a bye week leading until the meeting against FAMU on October the 28th. But man, oh man, a lot of time to let this soak into your system. And hopefully it doesn't soak too deep that the Panthers won't be able to recover from this thing. What a collapse, and what a bad time to collapse. So the Panthers, the good thing about this is, although they lose big, and might I even add embarrassingly, it's not a conference game. But meanwhile, other things were happening in the conference that is definitely going to continue to turn the heat up and keep the Panthers on notice as they get focused back for conference play throughout the rest of the season. Texas Southern plays the role of homecoming spoiler against Bethune-Cookman today. They win by the score of 34-31. Grambling State falls victim at home against Alabama A&M, 45-24. Jackson State falls to Alabama State, 19-14. Mississippi Valley awakened, and they put a sound pounding on the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff by the score of 42-17. Southern University find their winning ways against the Lincoln Oaklanders by the score of 45-18. But the heavy hitter of them all has to be not just the Panthers losing, but the Panthers being shut out and held collectively for only 110 total offensive yards. We are scheduled to hear from Coach Bubba McDowell and get further details on what actually happened from his vantage point. But whatever happened, it can happen again, and they'll have an entire week off to try to rectify whatever needs to be rectified as they get ready to take on the FAMU Rattlers for their homecoming October 28th. We are going to exit stage left for this after-party post-game show. I want to thank the Prairie View Athletic Club for their sponsorship and support. The Prairie View Athletic Club has been supporting PV Athletics since 1986, not just for the major sports that we're aware of, such as football and basketball, but they take care of tennis, golf, baseball, softball, volleyball, bowling, the whole 9 yards. And the Prairie View Athletic Club will continue to do the mission purpose of being productive people on behalf of the Prairie View A&M University Athletic Department. If you would like to be a part of this special unit of volunteers, all you need to do is reach out by dialing 936-857-5817. Greg Alston is the president. Let them know that the open mic sent you by. Final score, Panthers fall 30-0 to the Houston Christian Huskies. And we will be off this next week coming up because of the bye. But do remember that you will be able to listen to the Panthers rebroadcast on our YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Hit that bell notification, and that way you'll keep up with all of the latest and greatest releases that we have for you and only you. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Follow me on X at The Mike Prince Show, and check out the YouTube channel, as we mentioned, and visit the website, obnradio.com. So until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.